This is the Vandercook number 17. It was introduced in the early 19-teens, and it was the very first model that Vandercook introduced with an automatic inking system, including an oscillating roller, which allows the operator to have smooth, even ink coverage without the use of a brayer. It has a vertical feed table instead of a horizontal, which is different from many modern Vandercooks. Perhaps the oddest thing about it when compared to other Vandercooks is that rather than printing from left to right, like this, as you would with a Vandercook number 4 or 219 or most of the modern Vandercooks, you actually print from right to left. We're going to feed our paper over here and then print in that direction. The Vandercook number 17, unlike many Vandercooks, is actually a galley height press, meaning that the bed is actually lower than it would need to be to use type high type. It was actually designed to use type set up in a galley. This that you see here is not actually the bed of the press. It's a piece of metal that is thick enough to bring the bed up to standard height. In other words, it is the thickness of a standard galley. You can remove it so that you can see the bed underneath. The paper registration system on the Vandercook number 17 is quite different from the more modern Vandercooks. I'm going to show you a little bit of how it works. For the left to right registration, this pin here is adjustable. And the grippers are actually built in underneath the cylinder. So if you peer down into this gap, you should be able to see how they open when I move the press. We feed the paper in here. It sits on a lip down in the feeding table, and when you get to the end of the carriage, the grippers actually grab and push up on the paper. As you roll out over the form, you'll want to gently press on the paper at the top to make sure that it's firmly in the grippers, then engage the frisket. When I turn the cylinder, the paper grippers will pop open, grab the paper, pop closed again, and then we'll be able to print. That sound there is the grippers picking up, and now the paper is resting within them. As I turn the handle this way, they close back on it. It's now gripped, so it doesn't pull out easily, and I can go ahead and print. The Vandercook number 17 was the first Vandercook to have an automated inking system, which consists of 2 foam rollers, which are these blue rubber rollers here, an oscillating roller, which on this press is 2 inches in diameter. On later models, it's often 3 or 4 inches in diameter, and 2 half-inch tiny rider rollers. This press, when it came to us, was missing its oscillating roller, so we had one fabricated out of a core from a challenge-proof press and a brand new cylinder. And when we roll back and forth, you can see it oscillates beautifully. We had to build these 3D printed extenders to make the core long enough. it's working well, and we're considering having them machined out of brass. The inking system can rise and lower just as it can on any Vandercook, so that your foam rollers don't become flattened in an area from resting. And the rollers also adjust up and down on all 4 sides so that you can make good adjustments for good inking. The other difference that's pertinent between this and many other Vandercooks is that rather than having a motorized inking drum, we have actually a flat inking plate at the end of the press. This is not unique to this model. Other Vandercooks also have an inking plate, but it's pretty great because it means you don't need electricity to run this press. So if you're a frontier printer in a cabin in the woods, that is good news for you. This plate is analogous to the inking disc that you would see on a platen press. The trip print mechanism on this Vandercook consists of a track that one is raised and one is lower for the cylinder, and a bearer here, which determines the height of the cylinder in relation to the bed. When we are moving from left to right in this direction, we are sending the carriage back with no paper. We're not printing, so we'll be in trip. So this bearer here is on the upper track. When we get down to the end, if the press is in print, which it is currently, you can switch it into trip here and back into print. This mechanism will guide the bearer into the inner track, which is lower, allowing us to print.